We're at the Killarney circuit in Cape Town for the first round of this high-speed entertainment on wheels. All Westbank cars now boast big muscle American V8 engines. Brian, the new Westbank V8 formula starts today.
That's right, Rods. We're at Killarney for the first round of the 1996 Westbank Modifieds. They, as you know now, we've got the two classes running, the Westbank Challenge and the Westbank Cup, which the Challenge is for the 650 horsepower cars and the Cup for the 400 horsepower cars. We've got quite a nice field down here for the first race. We're hoping to start about 15 cars. And we've had a few little teething problems along the way as we've gone along during the week. Peter Goff has had a couple of problems with the Hendrix engine in the new Astra, which has been a pity, and he won't be able to start today. But we had 9 Cup cars engines running during the course of the week. They're all up and running strong, so we're hoping for a good race there.
And after practice, Brian, feeling all this big horsepower, they just seem to be sparkling, these drivers loving it.
Yes, I think the guys that are new to the big horsepower V8s are certainly enjoying it and taking a little time to get used to it. But I think they're going to do well, and as the season progresses, I think they'll go from strength to strength and put on a good show, which is what we're looking for.
And the times on the grid are close.
Well, the times in the Cup class are particularly close, which is nice to see, which means that the Ford and Chevy engines are running competitively against each other. We're looking at times probably not more than a second separating the first 6 cars in the Cup on the grid, which is a good early season sign.
A look at the starting grid. Larry Wolford, Peter Goch, Westbank Challenge car slotted in there ahead of the Westbank Cup car of Linton Dunkley in 7th position. We spoke to the 4 leading drivers on the grid. Jürgen, there's nothing between the 3 of you.
No, there is not, and we just have to go for the first corner, and hopefully there's a gap to come in, to go in.
How do you mean to play the rest of the race? So this is your home track.
It's still 20 laps. We'll wait and see.
Ben's the pace setter, and I'm going to be right behind him coming up to the start, and I'm just going to hang him on his tail to get around that first turn, because I think all hell can break loose if you don't get out of that first turn quick. And I'm quite sure that we can hang in there. I reckon we've got a good chance of knocking Willie off this time.
Times are very close, and it's going to be mean, especially for the first few laps. But I'm going to chase and see if I can catch Ben.
Ben, starting where you left off last year, 1.5 seconds ahead of the next man. Do you think they can catch you?
Absolutely, there's always a chance, Roger. It's 12 laps, anything can happen in that time. Willie's very, very quick, as well as all the other new cars. A lot of them are still being sorted out. Anything can happen.
Race 1 of the season coming up. Ben Morganroot takes up pole position, and that car's a Mazda at the moment, and all Ford running gear underneath that outline. It's soon going to be a Ford Falcon. Looking very relaxed and confident. Alongside him, of course, the ECL Opel record of Willie Hepburn. And there's another big American muscle car, it's the V8 Chev Camaro Z28, supplied by Williams Hunt, and leads off this big field on their rolling start lap. A powerful car, that Camaro, but not the 650 to 700 horsepower produced by these cars as Zubentham gets a close look there at Willie Hepburn. Morganroot in the front, Hepburn the white Opel alongside him, the Gestetner car of Lindenberg, then Zubentham, the Sonics Opel of Larry Wolford, and those Westbank Cup cars looking very, very nice. Times are close. The only difference between the Challenge cars and the Westbank Cup cars are the power produced by the engine. All 5.7 and 5.8 litre V8 engines, nice big crowd at Killarney. And if you want to change from one class to the other, you just change motors. The 4-speed Jericho box is the same in both cars. So is the Detroit Locker rear axle, serviced by Gearmax, who put them all together for these drivers. So those cars are identical except for the horsepower of the engine. That's really dictated by camshaft and the size of those big 4-barreled polycarburetors. This is a driver's view. Peter Lindenberg's on the left. We're sitting where the driver would normally sit on the right-hand side. Not a great view out of there. It's getting very hot in that cockpit already. Temperatures on the road already over 40 degrees. Just a light breeze at Killarney, cooling down the track. Back from Hepburn. Looking back there, that's the 3rd and 4th men behind him. We're coming up to the line. Here we're in with Claude Williams. A beautifully turned out Barnett Auto Spares Opel Astra there. That's a Westbank Cup car. The 400, the hammer goes down, and we're in business. Morganroot on the inside, better place. He goes down to Conti corner. Zubentham gets the jump there, and Peter Lindenberg on the way. He's going to try and take Hepburn on the way into the corner, but Willie just closes the door. Cup cars following up there very closely behind them. We're in with Lindenberg on the way up to Castrol corner. Down through that, comes from 3rd down to 2nd position. You can go sideways on request in these motor cars. Just push that loud pedal down too hard, and that car will go sideways. You can see as these drivers fight to get that power down the road. It's Morgan in front, close attendance, Willie Hepburn. Morgan looking pretty relaxed, still keeps looking in his mirrors for Hepburn, who's right on his tail as they stream down through the shell corner. There's the Barnett's Auto Spares cars, two beautiful cars. As we go in with Claude Williams, he's in front. Ahead of him, he's got Linton Dunkley leading the West Bank Cup cars at the moment in that Sabat Oval. As they exit Sabat corner, it's all action. There's Roddy Turner and a beautiful looking Opel Calibra, sponsored by Drive Out. They're hooking these cars back from 260 kilometers an hour. Willie's getting under the wing of Morgenrud. That big Jasper Chev engine produces a lot of horsepower. Good close racing in the West Bank Cup cars. It was forecast to be so. There's nothing between these cars. They rev to 7,000 and they push out 400 racing horses. Morgan in the front, and Willie's starting to look for a way through. He's tucked right in under his wing. Then it's Zubentheim and Lindenberg and Larry Wolford in the Sonics Opel. Goes down the inside, he's got a better line going into Conti. He has Morgenrud. Willie now feeding it on as he goes through there. The tyres are getting very hot on that road. Morgenrud still checking as he goes down on the way down to Castro Corner. Willie's certainly putting on the pressure. He can't afford to relax for 1 second, Morgenrud. And Lindenberg is closed up on Zubentheim just behind. They come out of Castro Corner like dragsters. They really do accelerate these motorcars. Top speed over 305 kilometers an hour. On a long straight on a fast circuit like the Goldfields Raceway. Just look at that power as they come out of the corner. In with Lindenberg. He's looking for a way through. Zubentheim making that novel forward of his very, very wide indeed. He stays down the middle of the road. You'll have to force your way through if you're going to get past him. And Willie's making his first attempt to get past Morgan. Round the outside is not a good place to do it. Morgan is doing the defensive line, the tighter line, round the banking of Stanley Corner. But that Jasper Chev can go. Here they come, they've left to 8,000. He's going for it. He's coming alongside. He's pulled out as he goes under the Goodyear Bridge. It's onto the brakes now. Morgenrud on the inside's got the better line. And Willie has blocked up his brakes. He's going to overheat those tyres as Morgenrud gains about 20 metres as they come out of Continental Corner. There's Linton Dunkley leading the Cup cars. And Claude Williams, flames coming out the side. He's second. Then it's Gary Dunkley. Then it's Derek van Vleck. There is Rodney Walker just behind in another one of those beautifully made motor cars. And Brian Cooks is in attendance as well. Lindenberg now starting to challenge. Down into second gear as he gets into Castro Corner. Just listen to those straight cut gears in the Jericho box. Hard at work. All that torque gets fed in. There's real horsepower coming from under that bonnet. Here he comes now. He's looking for a way through. As he tears down the shell corner, the camber's all wrong down there. Goes a little bit wide, loses a bit of ground. And Zubentheim lives for just another moment. But Lindenberg's closing. Zubentheim's in the middle of the road. Up through the double right-handers at Sabre. Onto the curb he goes, he powers it on, they're starting to light up those motor cars, the tyres get delivered, and Lindenberg is trying. This Formula One powerboat ace has really taken to this West Bank racing like a duck to water. Flat out down the straight, loses a bit of ground as he comes down there. Zubentheim knows the circuit well, this is his home track. He does all his practice and training, and he knows how to make it very difficult for anybody to get past him. Power and acceleration of those cars, 650 to 700 horsepower being put to work there. The Cup cars, close racing. We've got Rodney Walker now closing up on Gary Dunkley. He had trouble with his challenge engine, that's the 700 horsepower one, and he's gone back to a 400 horsepower motor. Sassel flames from the side of Morgenrud's car. Looks like he's got it in control. That 20-meter gap he got on Willie when he overdid it has just been enough. And Lindenberg's now chasing. He's getting under his back wing. And that wing is effective. It's not there to keep the boot lid shut. It really puts a lot of downforce down on the road. You can see those diffusers under the cars as well. Now he's going to look for a place to get past. Power goes on. Just comes in one bush. 1 minute you've got no horsepower. The next one you're dealing with nearly 700 horsepower down at the coast. He's looking for a way through, and Zubentheim is not going to allow him past easily, if at all. Powers it out, starting to light up his tyres. There does Lindenberg. He's starting to overheat them through the double right-hander. It's still Zubentheim from Paul staying ahead. Willie's now almost given up the chase. He just hasn't got enough cool tyre rubber to be able to challenge Ben Morgan, who's settling down for second spot. And Lindenberg has got to find a place to get through. We're halfway through this race as Morgan, who comes tearing down the straight, and the power of this big Chevy. Just listen to it. Beautiful sound of those big Holly Cobb, that 4-barrel Cobb howling away. All these V8s have got different sound. We're back with the West Bank Cup cars. It's 5.7 litre of power as we're going with Williams. There's Linton Dunkley. This is the battle going on for first place in the Cup car class. As they come towards us, Larry Wolford's been challenged by these cars. Hasn't got quite the horsepower expected. Then it's Rodney Walker as we go down to Conti Corner. And Dunkley has overdone it. His wheel lock, the front wheel's lock. He's gone, whoa, what a thump as he goes into the tyre wall. That photographer has to jump for his life. He goes into the tire wall at Conti corner, and he's totaled the front of the car. He's jammed into that motor car, always on the spot. These very efficient marshals at Killarney, and the paramedics will be down there. He's thrown the tires from that corner right onto the other part of the track, which could be dangerous as well. They'll have to cut him out of the car as the marshals clean those tires off the circuit. And the racing goes on. The yellow flags are out. It means no overtaking. Morgenrud goes in there. Nice safe lead. He's got about 120 metres. Here's Lindenberg now. Still got Zubentheim to deal with. He can't pass him under the yellow flag in this part of the circuit. They'll get the green a little further up the road. Heavy acceleration on the way to Cashville corner. Lost a little bit of ground there. Beautifully turned out car from Paul. Here's this novel Ford Telstar. There's another Telstar behind. That's the ex-Sorrel van der Merwe one. Getting it sideways. Powering on. You just got to get it onto the limit and hold it there and drift these cars out of the corner. There you can see his wheel was starting to lift. He's got some sort of problem with his suspension. Has Zubentheim. You don't get a car lifting his wheels that easily. Has been set up. Yes, you can see it smoking on the right-hand side there. He's braking very early as he goes into Sabat. And Lindenberg has gone through to third spot. So we've got a Ford in the first place. We've got a Chevy V8 in second, and we've got Lindenberg, another Ford, in third position. There's Willie Hepburn. Seems to be content now as this race starts to run its course. There's Lindenberg there, a little bit distant. You won't be able to get onto Willie Hepburn's tail. And Zubentheim's given up the chase. It turns out that a suspension strut has broken one of the shock absorbers and put him out of the race. The Cup racing has been electric. There's the Sonex car of Larry Wolford. He's in the challenge class, and behind him the first there's Claude Williams and Rodney Walker. Here comes Gary Dunkley in the Sabat Opel Astra. Derek King is loving this. He's used to racing AC Cobras, loves the big horsepower engines, and is thoroughly enjoying himself. But look who's coming up to challenge. It's Brian Cook having his first drive in V8s. The two Barnett Auto Spares car come through. Williams leading Rodney Walker. The white flag said there's a service vehicle, in fact an ambulance on the circuit. There's no overtaking while these flags out. As Linton Dunkley is made more comfortable, the two Barnett Auto Spares cars come in. First and second in the class now. His father, Gary Dunkley, is getting overtaken there by Derek van Vleck. Overdoes it on the brakes going into Conti corner, and he moves up to third position in the class with Gary right on his tail, and Brian Cook is there as well. First and second in the Cup class, the two Barnett's cars, prepared by Eugene Lemmer and Keith Pridgeon, well driven by these two Cape Townians with oval track experience and Super Saloon Championship racing down the Cape. In with Williams. He starts to accelerate down towards Shell corner. Camber goes against you. A lot of oil down the road, as you can see, makes this road slippery. And there behind them in third position, Derek van Berk is having a ball in that Charking Ford Mustang. Brian Cook is closing up now. He's got Gary Dunkley in his sights as they go up to Sabat corner. It's been close racing like this throughout the race. On the power on as they come out there, they'll be up to 250 kilometers an hour. 1 and 2, the Barnes cars are still in there. Here's Van Vleck holding on. This is the first time holding on to third spot. This is the first time he's been in this racing. And Gary Dunkley's going to go on the inside. He overdoes it going down into that corner. Van Vleck goes wide. Lots of action, and Brian Cook's looking for a way to get through. Tries it on the right-hand side. He'll try it on the left just now. Still the Barnett's cars in front. Those others are getting left behind. With 3.3 kilometers of this race to go, anything can happen. It's still Van Vleck now. The pressure's on him. Dunkley with Cook trying to pass him. 1 and 2 for the Bond. But the smoke coming from, that's tyre smoke as he starts to light up those tyres and puts the power on coming out of Conti corner. And Van Vleck has blown it. Gone right off the circuit down there. He's lost 2 places. Acts like a lawnmower as he comes back on the circuit. Puts the power down, spins the wheel. Just loves those big V8 engines. So it's still the Barnett cars in front. It's Claude Williams. What a drive he's given. Steady drive. He said before the race he wants to get points and more problems. The Rodney Walker car's gone off the road with engine maladies there, and he's out of the race. What a pity on this debut. They're going to come home 1 and 2. And Morgenrud's on his way to the flag. First win of the season. He finished up 1995 with wins at Killarney. Looks relaxed. Ben Morgenrud is coming to the line. He doesn't have to check in his mirrors. Willie Hepburn is more than 4 seconds behind him. Great racing to start the season. There's Willie close to the wall, and Ben Morgenrud, soon to be a Ford Falcon. It's a Mazda with Ford internals at the moment, has won his first race of the season. There's a man who really does drive, looking very casual there. Bit of tire smoke coming from the back of his motor car. And a sweating Ben Morgenrud starts to emerge from his very hot Mazda. Ben, Willie was really putting the heat on you at the start of that race.
Yeah, he was. While that Chev's on fresh rubber, it's as quick as my car, anytime. And with the very first lap, I got away. I made about 50 meters or so on Willie, and I thought, well, now I'm safe. And he outbraked me at the end of the straight come up on my inside. When I woke up, he was passing me. I had to use some dirty tactics to keep him out at holes.
Car going well?
Going very, very well. Yeah, going beautifully. Thank you.
The first couple of laps, I think he hung back, but I got next to him and it was quite a good race, but I overcooked it going into the end of the straight and locked up, which let him get away, which then made it difficult for me to catch up again.
Was tyres playing a big part there?
The track seemed extremely slippery. I couldn't get traction at all. I mean, it was wheel spinning everywhere. Basically, I think that's the problem, is it's got too much wheel spin.
Too much power.
Too much power, you're right.
A great win for Ben Morganroot to start the season. Willie Hepburn in second spot, and further back Claude Williams, debuting the Barnett's Auto Spares car, wins the West Bank Cup class ahead of Gary Dunkley and Brian Cook. The next 10 lapper coming up, second round of the West Bank Championship. Ben Morganroot takes up his accustomed position these days on pole position on the grid. What a potent looking machine. Relaxed Peter Lindenberg is lying in third position just behind him there. So he's got a good run into the corner. Reckless Rick Davis, the driver of the pace car, takes that Williams Hunt Chev Camaro Z28 off the line like a dragster to just show what that car can do. And it really is a beautiful motor car leading this pack of V8s around. Of course, they can do 160 kilometers an hour in first gear. Can these cars, so you'll really have to hurry to stay ahead of them on this warm-up lap. It's Morganroot and Hepburn. Lindenberg gets the order they finished in the last race, and those cup cars very close once again. Starting to warm up their tyres. The view back from Willie Hepburn's car. He sees Peter Lindenberg, the Stettner Ford Telstar there. More power's gone under the bonnet of Larry Wolford Sonic's Opel Kadett. That's the ex-Peter Gok car. He tuned the engine during the break between the two races. It's time to go racing again. 33 kilometres of action coming up. Morganroot is the man across the pole to take the pace. The hammer goes down. And Zubentam now trying to go around the outside of Lindenberg as they go down to Conti Corner. Is it going to work? No, it's not. Lindenberg slots into third spot, holds on to his third. There's the Sonic's car of Larry Wolford staying in behind them. And Claude Williams is staying with those challenge cars. 300 horsepower less or not, it doesn't worry him. Sounds lovely. Only rests to 7. The bigger motors, the bigger horsepower motors, rev to just on 8,000 RPM. Wide into Castrol Corner. Then they go tight into the curb. You don't want to let the man behind you in there. Start feeding it on. You just hear it all come in one swish as those Holly carbs just howl away under the bonnet. Down through Shell Corner. And Larry Wolford's a lot closer this time. There's the Claude Williams car. Carrying our camera. Behind him, he has got Brian Cook doing well as they slide their way through Sabat Corner. The double right-hander and set off down the straight at 260 kilometres an hour. Sharking Ford Mustang has got these other cars all around him. Down through the box, the 4-speed Jericho gearbox. Down into Stanley Corner, hauling it down. You can't make a mistake down there, otherwise you're going to the sand trap. There's Roddy Turner's, the Drivelines Opel Calibra, one of the best looking cars in the race. Ahead of him, he's got Brian Cook there getting the wiggles as he comes out of Stanley Corner. These cars can so easily get away from you. Morganroot has got Willie Hepburn in close attendance. Willie fighting that car there. Very, very hot inside those cockpits. And Derek van Blurk is having another moment on his favourite corner. Gets it sideways. The AC Cobra days are coming to light once again. Morganroot feeds it in. Get out of there like drags. Just look at that acceleration. As the race gets on, these drivers can hardly get their feet onto the pedals. Tremendous heat of those cars. Van Breek recovers. He's got Andy Dix on his tail. He's got narrow and smaller wheels in that car. And it's a lot of horsepower. He's got the same amount of horsepower. He's got to be even more careful as he breaks down through Castrol Corner. Van Breek gets there. And it's getting away from Dixon. He spins it. He goes over the curb. He can't get it off that curb. And that's where he's going to stay. Morganroot slides it into side. Willie Hepburn still there. Checking his instrument. And there's a hostile environment. Willie Hepburn hard at work. A lot of smoke coming into that cockpit by the look of it as he hauls it back down to the Jericho box. And that's the man on his tail. That's why he's looking in his mirrors. Sideways comes Lindenberg, looking for a way to get past. But he's got a big Chevy V8 to deal with. That Jasper Powers ahead of him as he starts to haul it along the straight. Lindenberg's got a Yates Ford engine in there. He gets past him. Well, he's not going to let him get away easy. That's not the nature of the man. Careful through this corner. You see the black lines they've been painting on the road through those big wide tackies. And there is Gary Dunkelin, now leading Brian Cook, and Roddy Turner just behind him. This is the fight for second place in the Cup class, and Gary Dunkley's gone onto the marbles and has lost that second position. He's lost 2 places. He gets that Saybat Opel Astra, well-prepared motor car, back onto the road. What a pity that, and he had a great position coming up. Larry Wolford lying in 4th position, heavy onto the brakes, going into Castrol corner. He's got Willie Hepburn ahead of him. He tastes blood. It's not often you get onto Willie Hepburn's tail, and he's starting to close hand over fist, and Willie is battling with that motor car. It's starting to run out of brakes. He's braking very early on the entrance into corners. There's a lot of, he's looking out the window, he's trying to get fresh air. There's a lot of oil smoke coming into the cockpit as Wolford starts to close in that Sonic's Opel. Willie Hepburn has got a seal gone under the bonnet, and it's pouring smoke into that cockpit. He's trying to check his instruments and temperatures, and here comes Wolford. He's going to do some late braking to this corner. You can see that Willie was easing it off early going into corners, and he's going in for the kill now. As he passes him to the outside, is he going to get him? He's got him, and he's moved up into 3rd position as Larry Wolford in that Sonic's Opel. Powers it on. Willie doesn't let people get away too easy. Just watch the power of that big Chevy engine get to work. Here it comes. Both of those are challenge engines as they come towards us. Willie tucks in behind, gets a bit of a toe, and one. He's past him. Just throbs his way past, but he's got to brake early. As he gets under that Goodyear bridge, he's very early onto the brakes as he taps down, goes down through the box, and Wolford's back on his tail. He knows he's in trouble, and Wolford, look at him, looking for a way past as he comes out of Conti corner. Powers it on. He can try him on the right-hand side of Willie. He can try him on the left. He's got to get him on the brakes. He's going on the left-hand side as they go just onto the brakes, going into Castrol corner, and Wolford has got back into 3rd position. Is Willie going to let him get away with that? Starts to really pour it on as they come out that, but Wolford seems safe this time. A little bit of tyre smoke as he lights up those tyres and gets that power down through those big gumball tyres. No, Willie's in problems. He's got problems. He's looking. He cannot see where he's going. There's so much oil smoke. It's getting very, very hot inside that cabin, and Willie Hepburn's race, to all intents and purposes, is run. He's going to try and keep going for the point. There it is. You can even see oil on the lens of a camera there as Willie still keeps going, but he'll be early onto the brakes. Just fiddling around the cockpit, never gives up, this little man. Down through the box he goes into Stanley corner. But his race is run to all intents and purposes. He's not going to be able to beat Larry Wolford to the line this time. Claude Williams, he's in behind Willie as well. He's coming up. That's the West Bank Cup car. Beautifully turned out, as you see. He goes away. And in 2nd position behind him will be Brian Cook. Williams crosses the start-finish lines. The stricken ECL Opel record of Hepburn just idles along past the pit wall. Brian Cook's coming up the road in that police Mazda Ford as he comes across too. And Lindenberg now, not far behind Ben Morganrud. He's got him in his sights. Very late on the brakes. You can hear him desperately changing down through the box. Listen to those straight cut gears in there. It's very hot in that compartment. It's like driving the motor car. Big horsepower can get away from you so quickly. And these drivers just sparkle with the adrenaline that is produced when they're racing these motor cars. A well-prepared car has Morganrud got it, never misses a beat. As poor Willie Hepburn is hanging out of the window, just trying to breathe some cool, fresh air. Ben Morganrud controlling the race from the front. Lindenberg now moved up into a strong 2nd position, but content to make it a Ford 1-2 and is staying there in 2nd position. Look at the speed as they go down that back straight. Starts breaking down from 4th down to 3rd, down to 2nd, and he's a lot closer. He's got it down to under 2 seconds. But Ford 1 and 2 is going to be a great result for these two teams with the Ford horsepower powering them to the line. And Lindenberg's going to be very happy. He's got a 2nd in this race, a 3rd in the previous race. Morganrud gets his 2 wins for the day. The checkers flags out a very satisfying result for both these drivers. So a good start to the season. A few reliability problems to be sorted out, but certainly a good start to this all-new West Bank formula. Third place man Larry Wolford comes over to congratulate Ben on his 2nd win. He's just cooling down, staying away from that very hot car in the garage. Morganrud, 2 wins for the day in the Sassel Mazda Ford. Peter Lindenberg will be satisfied with his result, and a great debut for Claude Williams in the Barnett's Auto Spares car in the West Bank Cup class.